Charlie Kirk's life and legacy remind us that true strength in marriage and family is found in gentleness, conviction, and keeping God at the center. In this episode, we reflect on the impact and share practical ways to build a God-centered marriage and home. Welcome to Bringing Hope Home. We're Bryce and Colette Schaffer, and we're on a mission to bring God's hope, healing, and practical strategies right into your living room. All right, welcome to Bringing Hope Home, and we're so glad you're joining with us this week. And we wanted to pop in and do something a little different this week, and actually we switched up the schedule in light of Charlie Kirk's passing. Right. And so because Charlie Kirk had so much to say about the family, marriage, what he stood for, I think it's,
it's important
that we
stop and pause and reflect on the values that he had and the values he was trying to proclaim for the rest of us and be that voice. Mm-hmm. And as you've all seen the different TikToks out there and different Instagram posts, whatever you watch and social media platform, it's all about then that voice being echoed further and beyond. And we certainly here at Bringing Hope Home want the family to be strong. And so we were certainly touched by his death. And I saw a post too that said the other day that grief is not about proximity. It's about connection. Mm-hmm. It's about the value that you've placed on that. And I've heard people over and over and say, even though I did not know him, I felt like I lost a best friend. Mm-hmm. And it's because we watched so many of his reels, and he opened up his life, his heart to all of us. And we gained that connection with him.
Well, and you really showed, we've been talking about gentleness this week or this month. And you think gentleness is, I'm just going to be on the back shelf. I'm not going to cause any waves. I'm just going to be, in the background. And I believe Charlie was a really good example to Christians on how to live out gentleness, how to live out the fruit of the Spirit, first of all. But gentleness, it means that, like we said before, that quiet power that, he didn't have to.
Power under control.
Power under control. He didn't have to slam it down. Now, he had some strong words and debates and everything, but he kept the undertone of love.
Yes, he did.
And speaking the truth in love.
Right.
And I even saw one of his, one of the guys that would always come and debate him. Mm-hmm. And Charlie would kind of just laugh at him and go, yeah, I know you're trying to get, more views on your TikTok or whatever. But this kid was really moved and was in tears.
That someone would do that heinous act.
Because he felt the truth. Even though he was coming against his viewpoint, he felt the truth, and he, you couldn't not feel that truth from Charlie.
Right. And that Charlie really wanted you to understand the truth. Mm-hmm. It says in the Bible, and we're reading again about gentleness this whole month. And it's been really powerful. But in James chapter 3, verse 17 and 18, it says, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. And boy, does that describe Charlie Kirk's message and motivation in all that he did. He always said, my personal views come from the Bible, but my stances that I share across the nation can be backed up by fact and can be backed up by truth. And so he was a wonderful proponent of Christ and led so many people to the Lord. Someone asked me too just this week, about his death and how it was ended short. And I said, that's true. It ended short, but in 31 years, he did more than most of us do in a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And if our life could only mimic his, truthfully, if we could mimic his, this world would turn itself on its head for Christ.
And I think it's been amazing to watch. I really think that is what he has done in his death. It's amazing that, the devil thought he won by taking
Yeah, he
such
needed
a
him
strong person out. But like even Charlie's wife said, you don't know what this unleashed. Because Christians are speaking out. And I found myself because I'm one that wants to I don't want to cause
you're
waves.
a people
I'm
pleaser.
a people pleaser. I don't want to cause waves. And so I stuff the truth of the gospel sometimes because I don't want to make waves. I don't want people to come out. I don't want the friction. But I tell you what, this has made me go, you know what? That doesn't matter. I need to grow a backbone. And it doesn't matter what other people think. It's what God thinks. And we need to be bold about the gospel and about the truth of what it says and to the truth of love in all of our lives, and what it means. And so I know it changed me.
Right. It definitely affected us. Again, it's not about the proximity, but the connection and value that we place. And I've seen the other side where everybody's bashing the situation and saying, what about these other ones? Well, the value for everybody is different. And that's the neat thing about our lives, that we get to choose our values. But the problem is, I think we need to realize and recognize we have a Father from above, whether you recognize him or not, that have set his standards, his values into being, and they will not change. And we are to change to his values. And so, he was definitely a big proponent of family. I love that he didn't show his kids' faces. As much as he was in the public eye, he was saying his kids have not chosen that. And so we're going to leave them out. And I always honored that, and loved that about any celebrity that doesn't push their kids into the limelight. And again, he was family first. And that's what we want you all to be, as we all try to as well. And so Colette found and then typed out one of those reels for us. And she's going to read this about what it meant. Someone asked him the question, what does it mean to have a God-centered marriage and family?
He wanted Charlie's advice. He had gotten married
fairly young.
And wanted to do things right. So what is Charlie's advice? And this was just really quick that Charlie said. So I'm just going to quote and then we'll talk about it. But the kid said, I want to ask if you had any advice on how I can pursue and maintain a God-centered marriage for the rest of my life. And then this is Charlie's response. Number 1, your God must always come first from your spiritual disciplines. Honor the Sabbaths and turn off your phone for 1 day a week. Go to church, a good Bible-based church. We have many pastors here that teach the Word of God verse by verse. And also understand its external things of the flesh, like alcohol or porn or drugs or other temptations that will take down your marriage. You, as the husband, must constantly be at guard of things, and also over shopping, overindulgence, too much credit cards, idolatry of vacations. You must guard the family from those things seeping in. So understand the order. It's God and then the marriage. And those things will bless your marriage from the devil, who tries to undermine it and usurp your holy union. So he was just a proponent of God needs to be the center.
Right.
And that's what we talk about with marriage builders. If you don't have God as the center and as the foundation of your marriage, then what do you have?
And you need to let him and you need to let him be the one that constructs your marriage, chooses how your home is going to look. Yes, you have some say and leeway in that, but let him do the constructing. Let him be the contractor, of your marriage, for sure. I loved it. It says, honor the Sabbath, turn off your phones. God must always come first. That's important. Let God always come first. That means that's 24/7, 365. That doesn't mean just when you're holding your Bible in your hand, you put him first. When you're going to church, putting him first.
And we've said too, like in the marriage builders, putting God first, family second, career third. It's not this hierarchy this way. again, you have all of these things in your life, right? You have God, your church life, you have your family, your wife, your kids, you have your job, you have hobbies, you have all of these things. So we're not talking about a hierarchical order.
A ladder of sorts.
If you turn those priorities on its side, or all those, I shouldn't say priorities, but all those things on its side,
that you have to deal with.
That you have to deal with. Then you put God over everyone. So God is over your marriage. God is over your parenting. God is over your job. God is over. And so, because we have to give attention to different ones at different times.
Yes.
But he's saying put God first. Always seek. Another way to say it is seek God in all of those things. Seek your relationship. We should be seeking our relationship with God above everything else, and building that relationship even more than our spouse. Because that's going to bleed over to the spouse. And then he was really strong on husbands, your job is to be the protector. Your job is to do whatever you can to make, to watch over your wife and your kids, and to bring them up, and to bring up your children in the admonition of the Lord.
Right.
And that's what he said, to guard against.
Right. And it's not just guard against the natural things. Like, we as guys typically innately go to protection in the outward way, in the physical way. But what he's talking about, the alcohol, the porn, the drugs, the addictions, the idolatry, the credit cards, the idolatry of vacations seeping in. Those are things that become internal first, and they grow roots inside of the marriage and the home. And then they bear fruit of the ugly kind. Oh, they're the weeds that come in. And so he says, as a husband, we need to guard against those internal attributes as well that will come in and rot in a marriage and choke out the fruit of a good godly marriage.
And they say, well, what about the wife's job? Yeah, the wife needs to look over those things too. But and this was a male asking him, how do what do I do for my marriage as the husband? So these are the things, God put the husband as the head.
Right.
And that's for a reason, to be the protector, to be you are the head of the home. And so as a husband, you're to be looking after these things. And no, it's not just the husband's job. The wife is the heart of the home. And she can see kind of things, and she's the heart. She has her pulse.
Yeah, she's finger on the pulse of everything.
Of the family.
And she's supposed to be the helpmate, right? That's what the Bible says. So being a helpmate is helping in all these areas as well. It doesn't negate your responsibility in any of these either. But the guy takes a little special eye to all this.
And I think the main one is, husbands, you need to be the spiritual head.
Yeah, it says go to church. How many of you are staying away from church because of X, Y, and Z reasons? Because this is less convenient. How many of you are making the choice to sacrifice to go to church rather than do whatever it is, whether it's stay home, whether it's, I don't know. We have heard a myriad of things.
As pastors, we hear it all.
We hear it all. And I'm telling you, 95% of them are wrong. You need to put God first, and church needs to be high up on there, and you need to choose church. Because if you don't choose church, I'm sorry, other things will be put in its place. And you will get out of the habit so quickly. It is a slippery slope to get out of that choice habit.
As Charlie said too, if you're not putting these things in when your kids are young, I mean, why did he have to go to the college universities? Well, it's because that the job wasn't done at home. So these kids are getting these weird ideas now in the university. And so he's targeting, the 20-somethings that didn't have the right upbringing, right? They didn't
Yep.
weren't shown.
And we're not supposed to, especially as fathers, I hear too often, well, I'm going to let my kids make their own choices. The problem with that thought process too is if you allow that, you've made the choice for the world to enter in and make the choice for them. And that's not appropriate. As a Christian man, we are to be on guard and watchful and train up a child in the way they should go so they do not depart from it, not allow them to choose the way they should go. Because their flesh, their feelings, their friendships, their connections to the world will win out if you don't do your job as a family and as a husband. So it's one of the, it's a hard thing. It's a relentless thing. It's a continual thing. It's a consistency thing. And again, I like that word that he used, that if you don't do this, the world will usurp your holy union. And that means you give up the rights. Mm-hmm. And we are not to give up our rights as Christians, as heirs to the throne of heaven, and give up what Christ has done for us. Mm-hmm. And we need to fight for that every day. Paul said, fight the good fight of faith. That means we can't just do it on Sundays. Mm-hmm. Or do it when we feel like we need to go to church for the holidays. It's an everyday, all the time, get after it, because if not, the world will take it back from you. Yeah. So, yeah, we are saddened by the news of Charlie Kirk, but we also believe that his death will speak as a martyr. Yeah. And it's going to speak, and it's a seed sown. And
I like what his wife said. It's her cry. She said the tears of this widow or something is a battle cry. May it be known as a battle cry. And I really think it is. Christians, it is your time to stand up for what is right. It is our time to quit playing. Mm-hmm. The time is short.
Right. And our faith is not just so we get things. That's selfish faith. Our faith is to stand strong and to push back the darkness and to believe God's showing up and making a mighty move in your family, in your jobs, in your communities, in this world. That's our job. So anyway, thank you, Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie Kirk, for all that you put into us and for lighting the flame into all of us. And you, enemy, just woke a sleeping giant, because Amen. Christians are.
Yeah, and I hope it's woke up you as well. So thanks for joining us today on this kind of somber edition of Bringing Hope Home, mm-hmm. but one that we felt was apropos for the moment. So thank you so much. And until next time, remember to bring hope home to your life today.
If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. See you next week.